Once again, if you do not hear me very good, turn this up because the sound quality is really bad today. Um, Continuing on from part one of Dream with Many Messages, uh, I believe I left off at the part where Obama handed me a bunch of papers, and on it said like a 1.4.1 or a 1.4 or a 4.1. Either way, it had ones and fours in it. 1.4, you know. And, um, uh, anyhow, he gives me these papers, and he suggests that I get a 1.4 Magnum or something like that. And I look at it and I said, "Thank you, sir." And I shook his hand, and he was getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden, the tornado siren, well, not siren, but you know how, like, if you were in Oklahoma City Public Schools, or if you live in those other states where there's tornadoes and you ever went to school there, you would hear that beep, you know, and they would tell you to go into the hallways and duck down and stuff by the lockers. Anyhow, it was doing something like that, and everyone was running and going nuts. And I was looking out this window. It was like the whole wall that I was sitting next to was a window. And I looked out there and it was so dark you couldn't hardly see anything, but I saw a car, like it was a parking lot and some cars. And all of a sudden, I saw this big cloudy thing moving straight for the window I was standing next to, so I started running. And all the glass shattered behind me, and the building was being torn up behind me, and the floor came out from underneath me, and there was this little space of blue concrete, which was kind of weird, in the floor, basically built to hold up the flooring. And I hopped down in there and curled up in the fetal position, and the tornado went over the top of me, didn't even scratch me, and it flung things around, and I believe everybody else was flung around. I heard screaming still and running, and I said, "Thank you, God. Thank you. I know that you wanted me in here because you wanted me to be safe. You know, I thank you for keeping me safe," or something like that. "I understand why you wanted me in here now." And that was the end of that dream. Now, what I'm going to talk about now is some of the messages that I believe there were in the dream, starting from the beginning of it. Okay, how the city was an illusion. I felt, and it was the fact that it was like Christmas lit, was I was thinking that, and the tornado, combining those two things happening in the dream. Usually, tornadoes mean, usually, according to dream websites, now I usually don't buy into the whole dream thing, but just the theory of it is a little interesting. How they say that the tornado represents a change, and I think the size of it represents how big of a change. And I think this was like an F5 tornado. It was a huge tornado. It wiped out everything, I think. And so I believe that a huge change is coming my way, but I think it's actually coming in many people's, or possibly everyone's way. And it's a huge one. And I think it's a change for something bad. And it's going to happen towards Christmas time. And I think it's going to be this year during December, because the city was flickering on and off like electricity. And uh, and the Christmas lights and stuff, you know. It obviously means that everyone is going to be so distracted with the Christmas festivities. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy your Christmas time. Go on ahead, you know. Don't worry too much about it. But keep your eyes peeled. Be aware of your surroundings, I should say. Be aware of what's going on in the world at the moment in case something huge happens, you know? And uh, the Roger Smith thing I didn't get very much. That was just a weird. I think that was just a random part of my dream, except for the fact that he was talking about a bunch of people dying and that it was a mystery that he couldn't figure out. That might have meant something. And here's the first biblical message that I noticed in the dream. And I thought at first that this didn't have anything to do with anything, but when we bought snow cones, I paid $5 first. Well, actually, my fiance did, but I paid $5 first. And then 2 plates of sweets. He paid 2 ones. You know what that made me think of? Let me grab the Bible here. It made me think of the 7 heads of the beast. And the reason why is because there is a passage here in the Bible that says something about the 7 heads of the beast. Not just because of the $5 and the $2 adding up to be 7, but what exactly it says about the 7 heads of the beast. And I believe it was in chapter 17 of Revelation. And I'm almost on that page. Here it is. Here it is, right here. Verse 9 of chapter 17 of Revelation. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and 1 has not yet come. And when he does come, he must continue for a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7 and going to perdition, which means hell. So that's another thing I wanted to say was that when people think of the beast, they're thinking it's going to be a big beast or something. But and they're thinking that it's supposed to be something with 7 heads. Well, it is, but you've got to understand. What you've got to understand is when it says that he is the 8th, but it's of the 7th. It means that it is going to be one person controlling 7 people. Okay. Anyways, the fact that the area was empty, the neighborhood was empty, kind of made me think something big is going to happen, where people are going to have to stay in their houses, like a quarantine or martial law or something like that. And there is that area that I went into. I felt like it represented the FEMA camps because it showed all those little buildings come together, and the furnaces. I think they were furnaces, or if anyone could describe what I described, or show me anything similar to what I was describing. You know, the heat furnace is what I thought of. It's what came to my mind when I thought about it. And then the little building, the little building that I went into, and this guy, this black guy that turned out not to be a cop, but he was a regular black guy. His face was completely different, and then all of a sudden he turns around, he's Obama. It's weird. But he hands me those papers and suggests that I get a gun. That part kind of confuses me because I don't know whether it's God saying that I should, or whether it's God saying that I shouldn't. Anyhow, moving on to part 3.